Imagine being a woman prisoner, knowing you'll spend your whole life in jail without parole. What thoughts run through your mind at that moment? And how do you react when the judge says the final words, deciding your future forever? Today, we have got some stories you won't forget. Let's find out how these 6 female convicts would freak out in intense ways. Number 6. Elizabeth Escalona. Elizabeth Escalona was in a big court case, and she could have gotten probation or even life in prison. When the judge told her punishment, her family cried loudly in the courtroom. The prosecutors wanted her to go to prison for 45 years, but it was up to the judge to decide. Elizabeth admitted that she hurt her little daughter, Jocelyn Cedillo, in a very bad way back in September 2011. It was because of problems with potty training. She kicked Jocelyn in the stomach, beat her with a milk jug, and then did something really awful. She stuck her tiny hands to a wall using strong glue called super glue. Jocelyn was hurt very badly. Her brain was bleeding and she had a broken rib, lots of bruises and bite marks. She was in a coma for many days, fighting for her life. A doctor said during the trial that parts of her hands were torn off when they removed the glue, and they found glue and paint on her tiny fingers. At the last moment, Elizabeth asked for mercy, saying she was not the same bad person anymore. She felt really sorry and promised she would never forgive herself for what she did. Number 5. Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham. In a very sad and terrible case, 2 25-year-old women named Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham were given a life sentence by a judge in Charleston. This happened 2 years after the tragic death of a 3-year-old girl named Serenity Richardson, who deserved so much better. Serenity was supposed to be taken care of by Erica, her godmother, and Shanita, who was dating Serenity's mother for just 2 weeks. But instead of love and trust, they treated her horribly. They used a belt and plastic coat hangers to hurt Serenity, leaving painful marks all over her body. They were really cruel and didn't spare any part of her except the soles of her feet. It was a terrible and evil thing to do. On November 3, 2009, another incident happened that changed their lives forever. They used bleach and ice to try to save the young child, but it was too late. When the medics came, the child had already passed away. The people who did this realized the seriousness of their actions and knew they would go to prison for a long time. In the courtroom, there was a lot of drama with both women crying and collapsing. She was very emotional and screamed for her daughter to get up. But how could such terrible things be ignored for so long? It's really upsetting to think about the pain that innocent children must have endured every day. Trying to downplay what they did and pretending not to know is very disturbing. Number 4. Tatiana Fiorari. In Kent County, there was a couple named Tatiana Fiorari and Seth Welch. They lived in a mysterious way and people were suspicious of them. They had strong religious beliefs and didn't trust medicine or the government. Sadly, their beliefs led to very sad events. Their baby was very sick because she didn't have enough food to eat. But surprisingly, Tatiana and Seth didn't want to take her to the doctor. They cared more about their beliefs than their baby's health. It was shocking that 2 of their 3 children had never seen a doctor. When their baby became unresponsive, instead of calling for emergency help, Seth called a lawyer, which made everyone very confused and sad. The baby's life ended in a very heartbreaking way. She was only 8 pounds when she passed away. The doctors found out that she died because she didn't get enough food for a long time. It was a very sad story of neglect and starvation. Their home was also in bad condition, with bugs and mold everywhere. It was not a good place to raise children. Later on, Tatiana told others that Seth emotionally abused her and didn't let her take the baby to the hospital. He was angry and violent, which led to the loss of their innocent child. Because of what happened, They were charged with a crime for endangering their children. The whole community was shocked and couldn't understand how their beliefs could lead to such a tragic outcome. Number 3. Kayla Mendoza. On a night in November 2013, Kayla Mendoza made a terrible decision after drinking with her co-workers. She drove drunk on the wrong side of the road and crashed into Caitlin Ferrante and Marissa Catronio's car. Sadly, both young girls lost their lives, leaving their families devastated. Mendoza faced serious charges and was found guilty of causing death while driving under the influence. On May 4, 2015, she was sentenced to 24 years in prison. In court, the families of the victims were very emotional and asked for justice. Mendoza felt truly sorry and apologized sincerely. She wanted forgiveness and vowed to make amends by helping prevent drunk driving through Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Even though she's in prison, Mendoza knows she can't undo the past. Every day, she carries the guilt of what she did and understands she hurt many people. She wants to change and find redemption, but she knows it won't erase the pain she caused. It's a long journey, and she knows she doesn't deserve anything from the families she hurt. Number 2. Keandria Cook. In the world of smartphone apps, sometimes love can lead to danger. Let's meet Jessica Cook, who is accused of using a dating app to do something very scary. She and her boyfriend, Kendrick Bass, tricked men into meeting them in lonely places and then robbed them or took their cars. Their latest victim was Paranita, a 27-year-old man who met Jessica on a dating app called Meet Me. He thought they were meeting for a date to buy cannabis and be together intimately, but it turned out to be a terrible night. Paranita brought along a 17-year-old named Emmanuel Purcell, and that decision changed everything. Jessica got into Paranita's truck, saying she needed to get money. When she came back, Kendrick appeared in the back seat, wearing a mask and looking scary. Paranita was brave and pushed Kendrick out of the truck, but Kendrick had a gun. He didn't give up and shot a bullet that hit Emmanuel in the stomach. It was a really scary moment for everyone involved. Good news, Emmanuel Purcell was quickly taken to the hospital, where skilled doctors saved his life. The judge was amazed by this miracle, considering how serious the situation was. But Jessica Cook couldn't escape justice. The court knew that what happened wasn't an accident. It was a carefully planned plot by Cook herself. So, she was sentenced to 20 years in state prison for her role in the scary scheme. Love, lies, and danger can lead to big problems. Cook faced serious charges: 20 years for carjacking, 15 years for attempted carjacking with a deadly weapon, and another 15 years for a serious battery crime. But that wasn't the end of the drama in the courtroom. When the judge announced the sentence, emotions ran high. Cook's mother cried loudly and was very upset. Cook herself broke down in tears and pleaded with the judge. The chaos in the courtroom was so intense that the judge had to repeat the sentence to make sure everyone understood. But the drama didn't stop there. Almost 2 months later, the judge allowed Cook to change her plea, which surprised everyone. The new sentence was different: 11 years in prison and 20 years of probation starting at the same time. Yes, she would be on probation even while in prison. Number 1. Diana Jean Lovejoy. In a big court case that many people were interested in, Judge Sim von Kalinowski gave 2 people very long prison sentences. Diana Lovejoy, who planned a bad thing, got 26 years of life. Weldon McDavid Jr., who did the shooting, got 50 years to life. The person they hurt, Greg Melville, miraculously survived the scary shooting that happened in September 2016. It was a sad time when Diana and Greg were fighting over their son in court because they were getting a divorce. The lawyer, Jody Britton, said that Diana tricked Weldon into doing this bad thing by lying to him. Diana cried and said she would never take her son's father away from him. Both Diana and Weldon said they didn't do it, but the court said they were guilty. When they heard the decision, Diana collapsed and had to be taken out on a stretcher. Weldon cried and covered his face with his hands. Justice was served, but this story reminds us how love and hate can mix up and cause really bad things to happen. With that said, thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. And if you found this content helpful, give the video a like. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.